like a mini Sozo sofa session today to talk about supplements. I made that funny little vid reel, is that what you call them? And you guys are all thinking it's funny, and it is funny, but I also want to talk about it for real on the whole factor and just be really honest with you guys. So when I first started my business, I first started hormone coaching and got trained as a hormone care practitioner back in 2014. So it was a long time ago. And I really did go really heavy on supplements and understanding that. And, I had a lot of recommendations, kind of like what was in my tool belt of like, this is what's going to help people. And I have my own graveyard of supplements right here from years and years of it. And, I would find out all these things, and all the trainings I did, all the people I trained with, they were really heavy on supplementation, a lot of synthetic supplements, like, if this is low, give them this, even with minerals. And I really just started thinking, like, there's got to be a better way from just supplementing all the time. And I'm not saying we don't need supplementation, because you know that I say the minerals are depleted in the soil, the water is toxic and depleted of minerals, and also iron overload is everywhere. So we definitely need to supplement our diet, because unfortunately the nutrients just aren't there as they used to be. They're just not available, and that a lot of the vegetables are really toxic because of the soil and the sludge they're grown in. Unless you grow your own and you know exactly what you're putting in your soil, what kind of water you're watering with it, all of that, it's really hard to know. But the point is that we can do it in a way that gets rid of synthetic and adds in more whole food options. So all the supplements I have in my cupboard, I was going through to see if I even had any of the old ones that I'd like to talk about, and they're not even in there. Most of the supplements that I have now, they're still in supplemental form, but they're whole food put into a supplemental form, okay? And so there's no more chemistry projects in my body in that sense. And I'll talk about a couple today. One, ascorbic acid, which a lot of people use for vitamin C. It is synthetic. It's man-made. It's not the whole form of vitamin C. It's only the shell, and I have a whole post about this. You can go read it. But it's going to actually cause more damage. And even people talking about liposomal, all that stuff, they really don't understand what ascorbic acid does in the body. And I'm all about copper balance and iron balance, which I really think plays a huge role in the rest of your health. And ascorbic acid is going to really not help ceruloplasm, which is important for copper. And it's actually really going to impact copper in a big way. And it is only a shell. It's not the whole form of vitamin C. So vitamin C is something we have to ingest. It's not something that our body makes, so it is something we need to put in, okay? So you can get whole food C from foods, but the whole food vitamin C's that I recommend to my clients, they're based on camu berries and arceola cherry berries and all those things that are really just going to pack a punch of more whole food C than ascorbic acid. So that's number one. People are telling you to take a ton of it right now for multiple reasons, and they really don't understand what it does to copper and that it does nothing for ceruloplasm. Honey, I'm working. Sorry, guys. Honey, I'm working. Come here. Mom life, even when I have somebody here watching her, she finds me. So that's one of the ones that we want to talk about. The other one that we want to talk about is synthetic vitamin D. So this is another thing that is really misunderstood. I have a whole highlight about this, but it really does wreak havoc on ceruloplasm too, which is the main thing that we want to balance copper, and in turn copper moves that iron. So when we have vitamin D coming in supplementally, one, it's not really the form of vitamin D that our bodies are used to. Okay, our bodies are used to making D from the sunlight, number one, and of course dairy products. So good dairy products. So when we put it in supplemental form, First of all, the kind matters, what form of D it is, where it came from, what it's doing, but it really is going to cause more harm than good in your body. And I know this is controversial because everybody's telling you how important this is for what's going on in the world right now, and I'm not discounting that. But I am saying a lot of people just want to band-aid a problem with a supplement instead of addressing the reason why. Okay, so there's a reason why your D is low, and that is a marker of metabolic health and whether or not you have a thriving metabolism, which matters on how your minerals are doing and how the rest of your body is functioning. So when we fix those things, the D will improve. And now if you live in a cold place that doesn't have sunlight like I have in California, I really encourage you to get a vitamin D lamp instead of taking internal vitamin D supplements. But it also has a big impact on vitamin A, retinol, which plays a huge role in balancing copper and iron. And I have a whole highlight on this too on vitamin D. You can go look at it. The other thing is we're always wanting to know why D is being lowered in the body, right? Well, some of those reasons are what I just shared with you. Another one is when your minerals are in balance, your body's going to prioritize the most important thing, which is your heart and your life beating instead of immune health, okay? And the minerals that really regulate the heart are calcium, magnesium, and potassium. And when there's an imbalance in those minerals, and that doesn't just happen, okay? There's reasons why there's imbalances in those minerals. Number one, the water we drink is super hard, and it's like drinking rocks and calcifying your organs in your body. So you're constantly putting that in there. And if you're not addressing your water, it's a huge problem. The other thing is that anytime there's an antagonist in the body, it will push out calcium from the bone. And you see this happen a lot with the elderly, just in general as they get older, but also in young people, it's happening more and more and more because of these antagonists. And one of the main ones would be iron, like I mentioned, that's everywhere in the water, in the soil, in the food. Copper in not a bioavailable form can also do this. And then heavy metals. A lot of people who are pescatarian, who eat fish all the time, who have overload of mercury, people who are eating sushi all the time with mercury, people who have mercury fillings in their teeth. And there's a lot of other metals that are antagonists on minerals, but those are the main ones that are going to do a real big hit on magnesium. On calcium and magnesium. But as calcium goes up, magnesium will try to meet it, and then potassium is lowered. And you begin to lose that potassium, and sodium in rapid amount through your urine. When this happens, your body's in an unbalanced state where the calcium is so high and it starts to calcify. So if you ever know anybody who's had a heart attack and they look and they're like, your cholesterol's fine, we don't really know why, I guarantee you their calcium magnesium levels are playing a role in that heart attack, because that calcium can build up and cause that, okay? And not having enough potassium, not having enough magnesium can really cause that arrhythmia and those irregular heartbeats. So your body's so smart. You guys, your body's so smart, and it prioritizes and says, you know what? Vitamin D and immune health isn't the main priority here. I need to keep my heart beating, because D, when you keep adding it in the body, it causes calcium to go up and it causes potassium to go down, which is the exact opposite of what most of your bodies are already wanting and needing. It's exacerbating a problem. So you're looking at your labs, your doctor's looking at your labs, and you're saying, oh, my D's low, and you start taking D without looking at your minerals, without knowing what's going on with your metabolic health, and then it just exacerbates the problem. So now you're gonna push your calcium out more, you're gonna lose magnesium more to meet that, and you're gonna lose potassium more, and your heart's gonna continue to struggle. So I really encourage you, this is why we don't blindly supplement. And two, some of this stuff that is being pushed down your throats, even in the natural health industry, is not helping. And I really think that even in this world of supplements, we've gone again away from like what we were meant to be eating and drinking, and just trying to band-aid it with all this synthetic stuff. I'm pointing at this giant bag of graveyard supplements I have here. So I really have switched my focus as a mineral practitioner, and even in the things that I've taught other hair mineral analysis practitioners, is we got to get away from this supplementing of all these things and really figure out what the root of the problem is, and address it in a whole health way, right? So the goal of working with me and the goal of balanced and all of it is really just to get your body back to where it should be, okay? I believe God designed your body perfectly. and it can do what it needs to do when it has what it needs. So our focus is just to get rid of the junk that's gotten in the way and cause toxicity in your body so that everything can start working properly. Instead of chasing all these individual symptoms, you're going to be chasing them forever, right? There's that post I made the other day with the little markers. That's what happens is people are like, oh, I've got infections, and oh, my estrogen's high, and I've got acne, and my stomach acid's low, and I've got anxiety, and they're chasing around all these symptoms when really there's a root cause for all of this. And when you fix that root cause, those things are going to fall into place. And I'm not saying we don't have to do work to clean that up. When people come to me and their gut is already in a disarray because they've had the heavy metals sitting there feeding gut bacteria forever, because they haven't had good minerals, you need sodium, you need chloride, and you need zinc to make stomach acid. And when you don't have that, your body's just going to be a free-for-all. Like, come on in and make yourself at home. So that I'm not saying we don't have to do work to clean that mess up, because we will. But we can't stay in that zone forever. We have to get to a point where your body is really doing it on its own. So my job is just to bring you into balance, really to try to get everything working again, to get that iron recycling program working again by balancing your copper, by raising your ceruloplasmin so copper can move where it needs to go. And you'll see all those symptoms sort of move away. And I mean, for me, the biggest symptom I was chasing my whole life was acne. I had debilitating acne. I hated it. It was embarrassing. And no matter what I did, it would just come back over and over again. And until I switched and addressed things this way, addressed my iron and my copper, never before I've had as clear skin for as consistent and as long as I have since I've figured all this out and balanced it. So I've learned from a lot of different people. I've taken a lot of information and kind of combined it into my own method, because I think that everybody has great information, but I found that everybody was kind of missing one thing. And I'm not saying I know it all, I don't. But I do think that I'm ahead of the pack in some of this information that a lot of other practitioners are still not really getting. They're still not really understanding, because I see the supplements and the things that they are suggesting. And I think that you need to really figure that out, figure out that root cause. The other thing I want to say is zinc. Just putting zinc supplements in is not ideal. Zinc is another thing that we have to consume. Our body cannot make it. We have to consume it. And I would rather you get a whole food form. You can find supplements that are whole food form with great levels of zinc that are not just zinc supplements. And when they're making you nauseous and sick, they're not great for you guys. And they also are a huge antagonist on copper. So if you're not really balancing your copper and getting it where it's going to go properly, you're going to always be losing that zinc. And if you're unwilling to eat animal products and really address the huge sources of zinc that are in those things, you're going to continue to struggle to balance all of these things. So what you eat really matters, but unfortunately a lot of the vegetables and a lot of the soil and all of that is just not going to give us what we need. And it's all about what kinds, how much, when, all that stuff that matters. And then supplementing on top of that shouldn't be synthetic. It shouldn't be piles and piles of things you cannot pronounce. Just reading some of these bottles are just like ridiculous. And these multivitamins that people come to me and say, what about this? No. Multivitamins, I would say a big fat no to. One, because you don't know that you need all that. And two, a lot of it is synthetic. It's made from bones, shells, rocks, and it doesn't really have it doesn't pack a punch, and you really need to take a massive amount of it to make such a difference. And there's other things that I can suggest to you that are really going to make a much bigger difference in your energy and in your health. So I just want to come in and give that little chat today that really, I'm really passionate about getting back to the basics, both with food. I feel like the health food world has just gone down this massive roller coaster of chasing all these things. Most of the replacements are more expensive and they're not even that great for you. Nut milk's not great for you, okay? They're really not. PUFAs are a problem. And also, people who are talking about the environment and talking about animals and how if you want to save the planet, stop eating meat. I'm sorry, but do you know how much water it takes to make your almond milk? Yeah, it's just, people are very confused. And I know there's a lot of information out there. I know you guys are like, I don't understand how I can trust you. And I get that. and I appreciate that. Some of you have been with me for a long time. I've got a lot of information in my highlights, a lot of studies and things to show you, but even studies, there's always these one-offs of like, this works for this person, this works for that person, and you can find a study really to back up anything that you're talking about. More importantly, I want us to look at biologically how our bodies were designed to function, okay, and how they were meant to use certain nutrients. We were made to run off of glucose. That's what our cells love. That's what they need. If something isn't working properly, it's less of a carb sugar issue and more of what's happening underneath the scenes. Okay, it's more of how your liver's functioning, whether it can uptake and use all of that properly, how it can carry it into your cells, what's going on with your pancreas. All those things impact. It doesn't mean you stop eating carbs. And sugar has just been demonized. And I'm not saying pastries, cookies, donuts, crap. That's not what I'm saying. Okay, but sugars were meant to be ingested by us. We were meant to eat sugar. We were meant to eat fruit. We were meant to eat honey. We were meant to eat maple syrup. We were meant to eat even white sugar. Okay, and I know this is something that people are going to be really confused on, and I'm going to do a whole Sofa session on sugar because I think it's really needs to be understood. Now, if your system isn't working properly and you don't have the right ability to uptake that glycogen and handle it, you're gonna have a problem if you start dumping sugar in your body. That's not what I'm saying for you to do. But we really need to get back to a balanced way of eating and stop avoiding all these things and replacing them with other things. Okay, we have to get back to the basics. Like I just joke, like if we just all ate like our grandparents did, right, a long time ago, they had their like cup of coffee with their cream and sugar, and it actually was much better for their nervous system than all the things we do now. And two, they ate real food that they made from scratch. They grew their own food. They ground their own flour. They ate dairy, all of that. And we've just gotten so far away. So the problem isn't necessarily those foods that we've demonized. It's more about the fact that the way that they're grown, made, processed, all that impacts us, and also what's going on in our own bodies. Like I mentioned the other day, if you don't have proper digestive enzymes, you're gonna have trouble with dairy, and you gotta look at why. Okay, so from birth, if you've got iron overload or copper overload that's been passed in your system, your gut's gonna have trouble as a child. And if you, and this isn't judgment on anybody, I'm just sharing, these are the facts. So we need to stop chasing symptoms. We need to stop taking synthetic supplements. We need to stop eating this fake replacement food. And we need to make it simple. And we just need to get back to balance. So this is my soapbox moment for you all today. I hope it was beneficial. And I want you to know that this has been a journey for me. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I've known all this from the beginning of time. I haven't. It's been a journey for me in the last, I'd say 2 years, that has really shifted my practice more towards minerals, more towards this holistic approach, more towards stopping chasing symptoms and really getting down to that root cause and really understanding some of the supplements that people have taken, what they've done in their bodies, and really getting back to like the approach that it needs to be and addressing that root issue underneath, and then watching your health transform and also your life just be more simple. Nobody wants to go to a party and be like, I can't eat any of this, right? And we want to live our lives, and we want to just not have to think about it and have it working well for us and really just thrive in our health. And I promise you that's possible. It's going to take time. It's possible though. And it's possible when you're working with the right person that's going to really help you address those mean things that are causing the rest of the stuff to be out of whack. Okay. All right, you guys, thanks for tuning in, and I'm going to post this on my page. Hopefully get some more people to watch this. If you like my information, please share it. I'd love to see my following grow. I want to have more people getting this information. So save my posts, share my posts, comment on my posts. Liking doesn't really do much. The more that you do of that is a way to say thank you for all the free information that I give you here. Okay, have a great day. Bye-bye.